a correction. It's telling you, don't do that. Here's how change course on this. Little corrections around, we have to see them that way. If we see everything as just punitive, like, my grades are a judgment of me, I fail at something, I'm stupid, I'm terrible, I'm no good at it. No, all of these things are corrections to keep us, or to get us onto the right path. We reject that, and we try to run away from the correction, or we try to explain it away. It's just because, they're just haters, or my teacher just doesn't like me, or the adults are just mean to me. Why is everyone so mean to you? Do you think we wake up one day and I'm like, who's my victim today? No, there's always like that one person who stands out in all the wrong ways. Why? Because they didn't get corrected when they were little kids. They didn't have parents around or people around to correct them. And then they become adults, and then they're going to spend the rest of their lives being corrected in prison. You said yes when I asked, can you defeat the dragon? No, you can't. Well, not with that attitude. Can you defeat the dragon? How do we know? We have stories about it. We've been told. There's this one knight. Okay, yeah, lots died, but there's this one knight who was so brave. And so what is bravery? What's the willingness to go forward? The bravery is not the absence of fear. You can't control the things that you're afraid of, but you can control what you allow to stop you from going forward. But what's the dragon in your life? What's the thing that's so big, it's insurmountable, the thing that you're fighting against, that seems like you can't defeat it? Maybe it's a personality trait. Maybe it's fear itself. Maybe it's anxiety. Maybe it's a sense of believing that you're not good enough. Maybe it's a sense of believing that you're not worthy. And then I'm also going to ask you, so what's the armor that you're wearing that's actually getting in the way of you being able to defeat these dragons? That might be part of the bully's thing. What does the bully do? Well, the bully keeps the weird kids in line. But what do we mean by weird? Who wants to go through life being weird? And by weirdo, what I mean is like, not just that you're different, not just that you're off a little bit from everybody else, but to the point where like people look at you and they're worried about you. Like, oh my gosh, what's Hunter gonna do now? Imagine Hunter going to a job interview. He's sitting there, he slaps down. His mom goes with him just to make sure everything's okay. Do you think Hunter's getting a job? No, that's the problem. It isn't a matter of like, so therefore, what do? Well, just to make sure Hunter's okay, we grab him, we stick his face in the toilet, we flush it a few times, just to make sure he's okay. There's a line there, man. Like you don't want that to happen to a person, because you don't want a person to be bullied to the point of just hating and dreading life and hating and dreading coming to school. But there's maybe a little bit of like a dusting of bullying, a little bit of sprinkling of bullying. And some of the guys will know exactly what I'm talking about. If you're not making fun of your friends, are they really your friends? I think I was mentioning that if you go to my gym, everybody gets a nickname. Like I don't know anybody's real name. Anyway, when you go to the gym, we have names like that. We have Steamboat. We have one guy whose name is Stupid Eric, because his name is Eric and he's stupid, and he accepts it. Hey, Stupid Eric. Yeah, what's up, man? And you kind of just like you get the name that you get. Some people get cool names. Some people get names like Stupid Eric. We've got Not Alex, because he looks like a guy we know named Alex, and he's not Alex, so we call him Not Alex. He doesn't even get a real name. I have no idea what that guy's real name is. We have Big Chungus, and I have no idea why we call him that, except that one day he was like sitting there, he's like, I want a name. You gotta earn a name. You don't just choose a name. And somebody's like, oh man, but I want a name. And one of the kids just goes, you're Big Chungus. And he's like, that's a stupid name. I go, all right, you heard it, guys. Big Chungus it is. He hates the name. We just call him that because I don't know, because he hates it. We have Freddie Mercury, because he looks like Freddie Mercury from the band Queen, which he dodged a bullet, man. Because we're looking at him, me and the owner, and I'm like, he's like, what's his name? I go, I don't know. What do you think? And the owner's really good at names. He looks like Freddie Mercury from Queen. I go, no shit, huh? I got the mustache, Dad of AIDS. Yeah. I'm like, why don't we just call him Queen? That's a better name. He's like, that's messed up. I go, yeah, but you get the name you get. So, unfortunately, we call him Freddie rather than Queen. His name has nothing to do with Freddie. I have no idea what his real name is. The point is that you get the names that you get, and sometimes they're goofy names. Sometimes we have Buckets. I love Buckets. Why is he called Buckets? Because his first few competitions, he got so nervous during the match that he threw up. So I just started taking a bucket with me to the competitions, and there's this great picture of us going to travel for a tournament, and I was so mad at him. And I'm walking, and someone took the picture from the stand, and I'm like, all mad, walking, and he's walking with his bucket behind me. And then there's another coach behind him just like trying to like, I don't know this guy, man. So he's won a bunch of tournaments since then. He's really good now. He wins gold when he goes and competes, but it doesn't matter. He's Buckets. He'll be Buckets when he's 50. I'll run into him at the Walmart, 30 years from now or 40 years from now. I'll be like, hey, what's up, Buckets? Man. Why? Because there's a little dusting of bullying that goes on with that. And there's a value in it. There isn't a value in like making someone's life absolutely miserable in hell, of course. And sometimes those things come back as we see. But we do those things because and especially with guys, because we're kind of sending a message that we don't even realize that we're sending. The message being, we care enough to correct you. We care enough to give you some feedback on your behavior. I don't know if any of you know a person or know people who are like this, where they kind of just behave and they just go off the wall and nobody ever says anything to them. Or they're like lying, or they're manipulating, or doing all of this stuff, and people just don't want to cause problems, and nobody says anything to them because we're trying to be nice by not saying anything to them. And you'll see this, by the way, a lot with little kids. Little kids will just be absolute jerks, and people will just like laugh at it and encourage it, and all of a sudden they're older and they're just complete jerks, and we're like, how'd they end up like this? Like, any of you guys have that like that, especially with like a little girl, and like a 1-year-old or so, and like, I don't know, like you'll try to take like their stuff down or something, or they'll like try to take some food, and then they'll like step in and they'll give you that angry baby look, and people are like, oh, she's sassy, oh, and they'll encourage it, and then she gets older and they encourage it, and all of a sudden one day it's not so cute anymore, and they'll be like, I have no idea where she got this attitude from. None of us are like that, because you get the behavior that you encourage. And there's something that's there, that there's a corrective behavior that can happen also as well. And so I say things like that, like, a little dusting of bullying can be a good thing, because it corrects your behavior in ways that others don't. And this is one of the reasons that I have several suggestions for a sensible life. One of them is going to be, don't interrupt kids when they're playing. Because when little kids play, they're learning how to be adults. If little kids are, you ever go to like a McDonald's and you see little kids, they'll run it and they go play in the playground, or even just a playground. All of a sudden they come together as groups and they start playing games. One of the worst things that you can do as an older person is go over there and start to organize them and help them put their games together. What you do is you say, go for it. And then you sit back and you, eat chips or something and let them work it out. And then a few minutes goes by and you hear them yelling at each other, you're cheating, no, whoa. And then you'll have that parent who'll go over, hey, what's going on? What did they just learn? You don't solve your own problems. You look to an authority figure to solve all of your problems. And you get them used to not solving their own problems. If you leave them there, are the kids going to murder each other? No one's going to die. But what they are going to do is they're going to have to sort it out. Otherwise, they're just not going to play anymore. And they want to play. So they're going to have to find a way to make it work. And so you let them. And that's how they learn how to form a society. That's how they learn how to problem solve. Solve problems between each other. This is how they learn to become little adults, and to become independent, self-sufficient. And the kids who we go over and we follow them around on the playground because we're worried they're going to get hurt, or we're worried they're going to get in an argument, or we're worried about this, and we're worried about that. It's tough, because I imagine the people who do that love them very much and want them to not be hurt. But sometimes the world hurts. And sometimes the world hurts in ways that form us. Anybody ever broken a bone before? Yeah. And then how it tickled, right? It was funny? Made you laugh a lot? Yeah. After you got done screaming and everything, when you heal up, you generally heal up a bit stronger than before. Why? Because it calcifies and you become stronger. But one of the things you also learn is, well, maybe I shouldn't do that again. Whatever it was. Or you learn the thing I did was worth it. And so now I've learned a way not to fail in it, hopefully, but in any event, I'm stronger for it. Hopefully we're stronger for it. Because the world hurts. Why? Because correction hurts. If you care about your grades and you get a bad grade, that bad grade, don't look at it as a reflection of you, especially you as a human being. It's not even necessarily a reflection of your intelligence, because people have bad days, people have bad weeks, people have bad years. But instead, it's a correction. It's telling you, don't do that. Here's how change course on this. Little corrections around. We have to see them that way. If we see everything as just punitive, like, my grades are a judgment of me. I fail at something. I'm stupid. I'm terrible. I'm no good at it. No, all of these things are corrections to keep us or to get us onto a right path. But instead, if we reject that, and we try to run away from the correction, or we try to explain it away. It's just because, they're just haters, or my teacher just doesn't like me, or the adults are just mean to me. Why is everyone so mean to you? Do you think we wake up one day and I'm like, all right, who's my victim today? No, there's always like that one person who stands out in all the wrong ways. Why? Because they didn't get corrected when they were little kids. They didn't have parents around or people around to correct them. And then they become adults, and then they're going to spend the rest of their lives being corrected in prison. But probably not even corrected, probably fighting back against it. Or worse yet, never go to prison, but be just enough to stay out here in the world. And then I'm sure you'll run into these people all the time. People who are always scheming, always manipulating, always backstabbing, and also always acting like they're the victim in all of it. Why? They don't have stories about knights and heroism and courage, because what is it for the knight to be the knight? And what are knights, by the way? Come on. I'm asking a lot. I'm asking to tell me what a knight is. What's that? Yeah, well, that's what they do. But what is an actual knight? If a knight walked in here right now, what would make you go, oh, that's a knight? What's that? So they carry swords, armor. Are there any famous knights you know? I know who you're going to say. I'm going to stomp my foot and you say it and scream at you. Good man. Lancelot. Okay. I was waiting for someone to say Shrek. Because he put on a helmet. Thank you for not saying Shrek. Although Shrek would have worked for what we're going to say. What do knights do? Yeah, they're brave, of course. And who do knights fight? Dragons. You had to, huh? Yeah, they fight dragons. I'm sorry for this, but you mentioned dragons. So knights fight dragons. Dragons. What do dragons do?
Breathe fire.
What's that?
Breathe fire.
So they breathe fire. Where do they hang out? Castles. And what are they guarding?
Princesses.
Princesses and gold. Okay. Does that seem strange to anybody? And what use does a dragon have for a castle? He can fly wherever he wants to fly. What use does a dragon have for princesses? What use do dragons have for gold? They can't buy anything. They could buy a new suit or something. Yeah, they gotta buy new cars. There's no use to it. So when you look at stuff like that, it's a good thing to pause and go, wait a second. So then why a dragon? What does that mean? It means something really, really important, man. And by the way, what do knights wear? Armor. Why do they wear armor? Protection, obviously. Okay, so the whole purpose of the armor is protection. Yes, we all agree on this. Okay, so what the hell is he doing showing up to fight the dragon wearing armor? Think about this. What does the dragon do to fight? He breathes fire. You're showing up wearing an oven. He's wearing metal armor. What happens when you heat metal armor? Whatever's inside cooks. So this knight shows up, and he's gonna go. He's gonna go. Save the day. He crosses the moat. Right. He's going into the castle. And now we should start asking ourselves, what do these things represent? Because everything means something. Everything means something. So what does this dragon thing mean? What does this moat thing mean? Well, he's going into the castle, and he's going to go fight the dragon. Can he defeat the dragon?
Yeah.
No way. No way. This thing's huge. It flies around. If it wants to kill him, why doesn't it just go up in the air away from its only weapon, which is the sword, and just breathe fire on this thing that's wearing metal? Come down and fight like a man. He's got no reason to. He just flies up, kills him. And by the way, that happens a lot, because when the knight crosses over the bridge, over the moat, and he looks to both sides, he's going to find the just pyramids of skeletons and skulls piled up of all the knights who came before him. Why? Because the death has to matter. You have to realize that there's real danger here. If you lose this fight, you don't just reload from your last saved game and try again. You don't just go online and find a tutorial, how do I defeat a dragon? You can't just, wish your way through this. And so you cross over, and you have to see that there's a good chance you're going to die, because everybody who's come before you has. Why? Because if they're dead, the dragon's still alive. And this thing is breathing fire. So now you can start to think about it, hopefully, what do these things represent? Because they represent something. Well, the dragon breathes fire. So maybe that starts to piece something together. It's an undefeatable enemy that is our nemesis, that is untouchable. Every time we try to grab it, it moves away. And it burns us up from inside. Okay. It's kind of like the things in your life that a lot of people pursue. What kind of things? Well, things like status. What is there anything that a person can own that reflects their status? Suits. Even bigger than that. Where does a person keep their suits? Houses, their mansions. Isn't that what the castle is? Is there anything that tells you more status than a castle? So the dragon is something that breathes fire, that will burn you up. And what are you fighting for? Well, you're fighting for status. You're fighting for the house. Now you can start to piece those other two things together pretty quickly, huh? What does the gold represent? Obviously, wealth. Some people will just burn themselves up trying to get wealth. And the princess, relationships, romance, love. So what is this knight really fighting for? Status, love, money. The same things that burn so many of us. The same thing that so many of us feel are outside of our reach, and it's flying around, and it just burns us up, and we commit our whole lives to trying to get these things. And by the way, how do we go about it? In the worst possible ways. Let me put this suit of armor on. Because the thing that we think is going to protect us is the very thing that makes us more vulnerable. A suit of armor. We go about trying to get money. We go about trying to get status. We go about trying to get love in the worst possible ways. We go about it in ways that are actually guaranteed to be counterproductive to us. And that's and by the way, can you ever get these things? Can you ever get status, money, and love? No. Haven't you noticed all the skulls that are piled up on the sides as you cross that bridge? Except for Achilles. You said yes when I asked, can you defeat the dragon? Yeah. No, you can't. Well, not with that attitude. Can you defeat the dragon? How do we know?
You have to try.
No, but how do we know you can defeat the dragon? We have stories about it. We've been told. There's this one knight. Okay, yeah, lots died, but there's this one knight who was so brave. And so what is bravery? What's the willingness to go forward? The bravery is not the absence of fear. You can't control the things that you're afraid of. But you can control what you allow to stop you from going forward. If anybody in here is a football player and you can't control the person who's in front of you, maybe bigger, maybe faster, maybe stronger. You can't control any of that when you're on the field. You can control it before you get on the field. You can prepare more. But once you're on that field, you can't control it anymore. But now you have a choice. What do? They hand you the ball, do you go, and just die? Or do you, worse yet, do you get the ball and you go in the opposite direction? No, you have a choice. You can go through, go around, but you have to go forward. Bravery is not the absence of fear. Bravery is the willingness to go forward despite your fears. You can't control what frightens you, but you can control how you respond to it. And so it's worth asking yourself maybe, what's the dragon in your life? And I'm going to ask you this throughout the year, just like this. I'm not going to expect any answers from you, but it's worth thinking about. What's the dragon in your life? What's the thing that's so big, it's insurmountable, the thing that you're fighting against, that seems like you can't defeat it? Maybe it's a personality trait. Maybe it's fear itself. Maybe it's anxiety. Maybe it's a sense of believing that you're not good enough. Maybe it's a sense of believing that you're not worthy. Maybe it really is a desire for love, just to be loved and accepted. Maybe it is for money, because you want to prove that you're worthwhile. Maybe it's status. You want to be able to get the prestige and the love of others, the attention of others. But what is the thing in your life that you're pursuing, that you're willing to confront this dragon over, hopefully, since you showed up? And then I'm also going to ask you, so what's the armor that you're wearing that's actually getting in the way of you being able to defeat these dragons? Since it's likely that we're going to meet cruel enemies, man, at least give children or adults too, give everybody some stories of heroism and courage, so that when someone like me comes along and says, you can't win, it's impossible, you can always point to those stories and go, man, someone's going to win. Why not me? Someone's going to make a hit record. Why not me? Someone's going to start a business and do well. Why not me? Someone's going to win this championship. Why not me? I've seen it happen. I know it's possible from the stories. Because if we don't say the why not me, then our destinies are not brighter but darker. And if our destinies are darker, then we're missing something. Maybe you use these stories like as flashlights to brighten your day, brighten your path, brighten your optimism. Questions, comments, concerns, complaints, criticisms, critiques? That's one direction we can go in with it.